Hey lovelies, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your girl, Abasiibiangake Itina. If you are new here, welcome to Unscripted Life, and thanks for tuning in to my OGs, the Unscripted tribe. Thank you for sticking with me on these streets of YouTube. I really do appreciate. If you've not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You don't like this my pretty face. Why? Please click on the subscribe button. I'm waiting for you. Done? Okay, let's move on. Please make sure to like my video. It gives me visibility on YouTube. It helps YouTube recommend my videos to other potential subscribers. Thank you. It's another Finance Friday. It's been a while I talk about finances on this channel. I have some videos about finances on my channel. In fact, I have a playlist which I will link the card up here so that you can check it out after this video. I am not a finance professional, but it's a topic that interests me and I do learn a lot about finances because of my financial journey. So please just stick around with me so that you can learn a thing or two from this video. Don't take it as a professional advice, do your own research. So today I'm going to discuss why you should have an emergency fund or why it is important for you to have an emergency fund. If it's a topic that interests you, then keep on watching. All right, let's get into the video. Let's start with definition. What is an emergency fund? Emergency fund is that amount of money that you set aside to ensure that your life does not come to a halt when you are faced with an unplanned financial obligation or demand. With that being said, in simple things, it's the money that you did not budget for in your daily expenses, or it's money that you use for things that normally you don't budget for. Maybe things like your car broke down, or you had an accident, or you had an emergency medical bills, or you had an emergency, let's say any uncertainties, things that normally you don't see it happening or you don't envisage it happening, but it eventually happens to you. You just have where you can fall back to. That is why you need to have an emergency fund. From research or from what most financial gurus have postulated, they said it should be like 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. That is what you should have as your emergency fund account. Dave Ramsey talks of $1,000 when dollar was, is it 360 or so? I think that should be around 360,000. But I feel as a Nigerian, if you start with at least you can put aside 100, 200,000 and build on that, it would go a long way. I know that we all have peculiarities when it comes to our finances based on how much you are earning, what bills you are putting, but just know that it's that amount that you have to set aside every month and make sure you have at least 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. Living expenses is, how do I even put it? It's the amount of money you spend monthly. Let's say you earn like 50,000 naira monthly, and then your living expenses is 30,000. That means you have to keep 30,000 times 3 or 30,000 times 6 and build on that as your emergency fund. So the essence of this video is why you need it. I feel that emergencies are normal in life, not because we know that it's going to happen. Because over time, in the course of our lives, we've realized that there are things that will happen or things that are bound to happen that will definitely upset the normal course of our financial life. The essence of emergency fund is to cushion whatever effect that is going to have on our finances. So I'm just going to give us few reasons why we need an emergency fund account. The very first one I'm going to discuss, which is very beneficial for our financial health, is it helps and encourage you to develop a saving habit. If you are budgeting, an emergency fund is included in your budget every month, and you endeavor to set that particular amount aside, you are developing a saving habit unconsciously. No matter how small you earn or how big you earn, for you to set aside a certain amount of money every time you have an income, it's a greatest form of self-discipline. So it helps you to save, it encourages you to save. So that's one advantage of having an emergency fund account. The second reason you need an emergency fund is so that you don't find yourself in debt. There is how some things will happen. For instance, things you cannot do without, let's say, your health, or you find yourself in an ailment that you never envisaged you were going to have. You just have to do everything possible to stay alive, even if it means being in debt. But if you had an emergency fund set aside, it will caution that effect. We know that in Nigeria here, we are not really big on health insurance. So you have to cater for your health needs. And in a situation where you don't have an health insurance, if you have an health emergency, it's definitely going to come from your personal pocket. So that is why you need an emergency fund account where you can dip into if you have such emergency without going into debt. The third reason you need an emergency fund account is so that you won't be at the mercy of other people. If we are honest, you know that there are people that are always asking others for money. In fact, we have professional beggars these days, not because, in fact, their own emergency is daily feeding, the daily cost of life because they don't have what they are doing. So you don't want to be at the mercy of anybody if you have a financial emergency. That is why you need to have an emergency fund account. The fourth reason you need an emergency fund account is to avoid bad debts. There are things that can happen to you that it's a matter of life and death, and you don't have an option but to go for loan. And when you are under pressure to receive loan, most times you don't even think about the stringent conditions, the interest rate, or whatever. All you need at that moment is just to salvage the situation, and you will receive that bad debt. And why I'm even calling it bad debt is that you're not using it for investment, which is going to give you returns. You're using it for an emergency. So definitely you might work for a long period of your time to service that loan. That is a bad debt. But if you had an emergency fund, it would have cushioned the effect of that emergency on your financial life. The fifth reason why you need an emergency fund account is for it to reduce financial stress in your life. If there is anything that has killed a lot of people, it's stress. So people that cannot withstand stress, especially financial stress, due to the shame, due to the mental effects and everything that comes with it. So for you to have an emergency fund account is going to reduce that particular stress factor out of your life. And finally, the last reason, which encompasses everything I've talked about so far, why you need an emergency fund account is to meet your emergency financial needs. That's just the summary of everything I've said. To meet your emergency financial needs. Please let me state this. Celebrations like burial is not an emergency. Birthday celebrations is not an emergency. Partying or going clubbing with your friends is not an emergency. Buying things like bags, shoes, hair, earrings, anything that makes you look good, makeup is not an emergency. Emergency are unforeseen circumstances that you don't have control over. So don't spend your emergency fund buying things or getting luxury items and terming it an emergency fund. The things that emergency fund should cover is job loss. If you've lost your job, if you have a medical emergency, if your car breaks down, if there is an act of God or act of nature, like let's say a wind blows off your roof, or there is a fire outbreak, or any form of accident, things that you cannot control, or house rent is could be part of emergency which you have to save towards. So I think I've been able to tell us why you need an emergency fund and the things that you can't use your emergency fund on and the things that fall under emergencies in which you can use your emergency fund. In the next video that will come up after this on a Finance Friday, I'm going to talk about how you can build your emergency fund and when you built it, what you can do with the money instead of it just sitting in one place and being affected by inflation. So please subscribe and turn on your notification bell so that whenever I post that video, you'll be one of the first to see it. With all this being said, you don't keep your emergency fund where you keep your normal savings or where you keep your investment fund. Have a separate account for it. If this video has added value to your financial life, please make sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, your family, your enemies, anybody, your foes. Don't hide me. I don't want to be hidden. Let me shine through you. Support my ministry. Comment below what your thoughts are on saving towards emergency fund. We've come to the end of this video. Until next time, be serious and stay blessed. Bye, people.